Hello folks, today we're going to show you how to remove a starter from a 1992 Honda Civic 4-cylinder and 16 valve. And for that we have removed the distributor, the hoses, and we have removed all our intake just to show you how the procedure is done. And for that, to remove the item, if you're looking at the engine from the front, it'll be on the left hand side, right behind the transmission on the top, and is held by a 14mm bolt in the front, and this other one 14mm bolt right here. There's the back. So there's the back. First of all, we have to disconnect our battery to do this job, and once you do that, you want to start disconnecting you want to unbolt this harness from it, and then you want to undo the wiring from it. I undid my harness that is attached to the starter housing from the top. You can do it by taking this one off, and it'll take that bracket off. So it depends on which one is easier, top or side bracket. So it all depends on how you want to approach that. And now we can take this, unplug this, and the other wire, the main wire, which has a nut attached to it. That nut, that's a 12mm. So at this point we have all the wiring off away from the body of the starter. So now what we do is we take that bolt off and the one in the back, and that's all it holds the starter towards the engine or the transmission housing. And this is your starter. This is where your wire going to the battery will bolt down, and this is where the other plug will plug in. And the bolts will be right there, and one is longer than the other one, as you can see. The shorter one goes in the front, towards the front, and the longer one goes in the back. As you can see, the housing is thicker on the back. You grab your new starter and you start feeding it right into the opening where it's supposed to go. You gotta guide it, and you gotta match over here, just like that. You see how it sits. So now we put our bolts in, longer in the back and shorter in the front to the body, so it gets held towards the transmission. So now we tighten our bolts. Front and back. We have tightening our bolts that hold the body of the starter towards the transmission, which is right there, transmission, starter. So we put our wires into the terminal. This is going to the battery, goes right here, and the other one goes right in there. So it's two wires. So at this point we have everything connected and back on place with the starter on place, or wires connected. So now what we have to do is just tighten this bolt that was holding our harness into the starter body, and we should be done. So remember folks, this is an image, a better image of how to replace your starter on a 92 Civic, because with all the components around it, I cannot get the camera in there, so I'll give you a picture of how you gotta remove or what to look for and feel for. Like the 14 millimeters bolt, the other 14 millimeter bolt in the back, there's of the body of the starter. And then once you get, but before, you gotta undo all your wiring and this bolt that holds all the harness into the body of the starter. If you don't do that, this whole body is gonna be attached to this harness and the starter won't come out. So you gotta take that 10 millimeter from there or from back here, whichever is easier for you. But like I said, and then once you do that, you remove your wires, remove the 14 millimeters bolt. One is longer, that one in the back, that one in the front is shorter. You remove your starter, you put a new one in, and don't lose your bolt. And well folks, this was an idea on what to look for and what to feel for when you're removing a starter on a 92 Honda Civic. And with all these components around it, I gave you a better view of what needs to be done to remove the starter and replace it, because with all the components around it, it's hard to get the camera in there. And with this view, you can at least see what you're doing, what you need to do, and where to look for. And I hope you find this info helpful, and we'll see you soon with more videos here on el canal de Chano Jose.